Good morning, everyone. Great to be with you here in Niagara Falls. Let me start with some acknowledgments. Of course, it's always a great pleasure and privilege to be with Governor Andrew Cuomo. One more time, please. New York State Department of Labor Commissioner Roberta Reardon. New York State Senator Robert Ort. New York State Assembly Member Michael Norris. New York State Assembly Member Angelo Morinello. New York State Assembly Member Monica Wallace. Niagara County Legislator Owen Steed. Niagara County Legislator Dennis Virtuoso. Niagara County Legislator Mark Grozio. Niagara County Legislator James Zona. City of Niagara Falls Council Member Andrew Tuoma. City of Niagara Falls Council Member Kristen Grandinetti. City of Niagara Falls Council Member Ezra Scott. City of Lockport Mayor Ann McCaffrey. Niagara University President Father James Marr. You know, I've had the opportunity to work with the governor in a variety of capacities for the last 6 years or so in economic development. And the real hallmark of the governor's approach to economic development is strategic, collaborative planning. Just the way a business plans for its future, the governor has empowered us in this region, in this city, to plan for our future. And when you plan properly for your future, you double down on your best assets, your most unique, significant assets. Our most unique, significant asset in this region is water. And think about the different ways water has played a role in this economy. Water provides quality of life. You see all the activity going on in Western New York, whether it's here in Niagara Falls, in Buffalo, in the Inner Harbor, the Outer Harbor. We are, for the first time, really, leveraging our water. And when the governor gives us the opportunity to take down throughways and highways that walled off the city and disconnected it from the water, that's why. Because we need to connect to the water. The water creates a great opportunity, not only economic development opportunity, but for the residents. There are few cities that have the water resources of Niagara Falls, and we disconnected ourselves from it. The water creates hydropower. The water gives us low-cost energy, and it has helped create a robust manufacturing sector in Western New York, which is one of the reasons why we focus on it. The water gives us Niagara Falls. And if you think about the opportunity that Niagara Falls presents, 9 million plus visitors, all the research that we have done suggests that if we can just extend the stays of visitors here in Niagara Falls and cut the gap between how long people spend in Ontario versus how long they spend in New York in half, we can literally create 5,000 tourism jobs. And tourism jobs are important to the state and important to the region. We have over 50,000 tourism jobs in this region, anchored by Niagara Falls, anchored by the outdoor recreation economy of Niagara Falls, which is, by the way, in this country, an $800 billion industry. This is huge business. So the opportunity to extend stays is our biggest economic opportunity, and then to connect visitors throughout Western New York to Niagara Falls and visitors to Niagara Falls to the rest of Western New York. How are we doing it? The governor has given us the opportunity to invest in the state park. Cave of the Winds, Maid of the Mist, Terrapin Point, the park infrastructure, $75 million of investment in the park. He's given us the opportunity to invest in downtown, to create a vital, livable downtown area, to remove blight. He's given us the opportunity to invest through our RFPs in new attractions, more to do, to invest in the ecology, to invest in the gorge, to create more green space, to remove the parkways, to enhance the outdoor adventure experience that is Niagara Falls and that defines Niagara Falls to the visitor. The best part of economic development is being empowered to do it. You have done it here. You are seeing the results of these types of strategic initiatives. Economic development is a team sport, and in Western New York, we all work together as a team now. The governor working with the county, working with the legislature. We don't spend any time anymore pointing fingers, talking about why things aren't happening. We are seeing development all the time. Over half a dozen, as part of our strategy, over half a dozen new hotels. Upgrading the hotel product was such an important part of attracting more people, but also keeping them longer. So in all these ways, remember, there's no one silver bullet, right? There's no one single project that in and of itself transforms a city or a region. But if you connect Niagara Falls back to the water, you make this a better place to live and to visit. You upgrade the park, you create a great outdoor adventure, you restore the historic buildings, you create walkable downtowns, and you extend stays and create jobs. That's what the governor's vision of regional economic development is all about. We have had a plan. He's empowered us to develop a plan. We've been following it for 6 years, and for the first time in a very long time, it is working, and it is working with incredible success. So I want to thank all of you. Economic development's a team sport. All of you who live here and work here and invest here, thank you for doing it. And thank you to the one person who could have possibly led a transformation like this, the one person who believes in upstate New York and who believes in Niagara Falls more than anyone has believed in it in a very, very, very long time. It is my privilege and pleasure to introduce you to Governor Andrew Cuomo.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. It is my pleasure to be back, and it is a beautiful, beautiful day with a lot of good news. First, to Mr. Howard Zemsky, who has done a magnificent job in leading our economic development efforts, first in Western New York and now all across the state. Let's give him a round of applause. Howard Zemsky. Mayor Paul Deister, who leadership matters, and he's doing a great job. Pleasure to be with you, Paul. Ed Riley, who is going to be the developer of the Hotel Niagara. Now, I have seen this movie before because I've seen what Ed Riley did with the Hotel Syracuse, which is very similar to the Hotel Niagara, maybe even a greater challenge. But Ed is a great builder, he's a great developer, he's a great businessman, but he's an artist. And you have to be an artist to do this because the joy comes in the historic restoration and appreciating the detail and the architectural detail and researching the history. And he did a magnificent, magnificent job at the Hotel Syracuse. And that's one of the reasons we're so excited that he's taken on this project. Let's give him a round of applause and welcome him to Niagara. Our labor commissioner is here with us, and my colleagues from the assembly are here and the Senate are here, and let's give them a round of applause and thank them. You know, we talk about the Buffalo Billion 1 and now Buffalo Billion 2, and we talk about them as if they are government programs, which they are. But when you talk about a government program, it has a sort of antiseptic feel. It's an economic development project, and the REDCs run it. You know, because government can't use words. Everything has to be an acronym, so you really get confused. But Buffalo Billion 1, Buffalo Billion 2, for me, are less about a government program, and it's more about a relationship. The mayor just pointed out to me, once again, on the wall behind us, the signature of Tim Russert. And Tim Russert was a great buddy of mine way back when we were in our 20s. I was in my 20s once, believe it or not. And Tim really introduced me to Buffalo. He was working for my father at the time. He had just stopped working for Senator Moynihan. And Tim's point, besides making a point of showing me every great bar in Buffalo, and there were a lot of great bars in Buffalo, Tim's point was to communicate the feeling of Western New York and the feeling of Western New York towards the state, and to communicate the sense of economic depression that Western New York had felt for generations. For generations. I mean, we talk about Republican Steel leaving or Bethlehem. I mean, these are decades and decades and decades ago when the economic transformation happened. And then compounding that was the sense that the state government, way over there in Albany, wherever Albany is, near Vermont, how Albany was detached from Western New York and just didn't care that that was the sense, that they were going through really tough times in Western New York, and the state government that was supposed to be there to help, that was supposed to be your ally, was nowhere to be found. And this was not a fleeting time period. This was literally 30, 40, 50 years. So what Buffalo Billion 1 and Buffalo Billion 2 tried to say was, it tried to say, I understand that disconnection. I understand that sense of abandonment. I understand the depth of the problems that you faced and the length of the duration of the problems that you faced. And today is a new day and a different day. And the way we're going to do that is by putting our money where our mouth is, and Buffalo Billion. Billion. Why a billion? Because it's big. That's why. And the problems were big. And we wanted to say our approach, our commitment is proportionate and commensurate with what we're trying to deal with. And you felt abandoned by the state? Well, the state is here, and the state is here in a big way. That's what Buffalo Billion is all about. And to your legislative delegation that's here, for many years, they would go back to Albany and try to fight for Western New York. And you know what would happen? They would get shouted down by the downstate legislators. Why? Because that legislative body, Assembly Senate, is proportionately represented by downstate New York. Why? Because that's done by population, and the population is downstate. The orientation of an assembly person or a Senate person is, I want to bring things back to my district. Most of the districts were downstate, so most of the attention went downstate. And the Western New York delegation was fighting an uphill battle because they were saying, hey, how about Western New York? And the majority of the voices were saying, it's about downstate New York, that's where we have to provide the help. Now, on the merits, that was wrong. The downstate economy has been doing better than the upstate economy for the past 40 years. If you wanted to do it on the merits, if you wanted to be fair, you would have said, no, upstate New York needs the help. Let's turn around that economy. And by the way, the long view, that would have been smarter for the entire state. Because we can sit here all day long and talk upstate, downstate. It's one state. It's one set of books. And if upstate New York's economy is not doing well, downstate was going to subsidize it anyway. But for many years, they were fighting a losing battle. That changed when we took office 7 years ago. And I joined, in essence, the Western New York delegation. And I joined the Finger Lakes delegation, and I joined the Central New York delegation, and I can't tell you how proud I am to say that we proved upstate matters, and my administration, working with the legislature, has committed more money to Western New York and all of upstate than any governor in the history of the state of New York, period. Period. So the commitment is step one. The investment is step one. And that's what the Buffalo Billion said. We're behind you, and we will bank you. We will invest in you. Now, step two is we need a plan. And you know what? Government doesn't do the plan. And Albany doesn't do the plan. Why? Because it's a business plan. It's not a government plan. It's a business plan. The most important thing to know in life is to know what you don't know, right? Government does not know how to design a business plan. You know who knows? Business people. And you know who knows best? Business people from that region, that area. So we got the best economic development minds in Western New York. Howard Zemsky was at the top of the heap, and we said, you come up with a business plan. Work with Mayor Deister, do an analysis, where's the economic opportunity? You come up with a business plan, and we will invest in your business plan. And we developed a business plan, and we have been implementing the business plan. And when it comes to Niagara, it said, we need to remember the asset, remember the strength. It was about Niagara Falls. That was the attraction. Tourism was the business. Look across the falls. Look at Canada. Look at what they've been doing. Look at the development that's been going on while we've been sitting here on our hands. And now let's catch up and get ahead of that, and let's market this asset. And that's what we have been doing. Niagara State Park, it was an embarrassment. It was an embarrassment. $75 million later, the state park is coming back. We literally walled ourselves off from the water. That's what the Robert Moses Parkway was all about. What were you thinking when you put a wall between you and your strongest asset? It was a mistake. You know what? Have the courage to admit the mistake and say, we're going to redo it finally, and we're going to have access back to the waterfront. We need hotels. 6 hotels are being built. And we need activities, outside activities, that are an attraction in and of themselves. And that's the piece that the Empire State Development Corporation is working on now. They have an RFP that went out. The responses come back September to pick a vendor or a number of vendors who generate activities that will attract families, tourists to Niagara Falls. So the pieces are all coming and they're all falling in place. And the truth and the proof is in the numbers. The unemployment rate is down. The economic numbers are up. The proof is in the mainstream financial institutions that are willing to put their money on the table. Goldman Sachs investing in hotels in Niagara Falls. Goldman Sachs. Maybe they did it just because they love Niagara Falls. No. Maybe, but no. Goldman Sachs because they believe in Niagara Falls and they believe they're going to get a return. M&T Bank, major financial institutions now willing to put their money and bet on Niagara Falls' future. That's how you know the arrows are pointed in the right direction. And the Hotel Niagara is a beautiful metaphor for all of this. It is a monument to what was, the grandeur of what was. When Niagara was in its heyday, when the falls were in their heyday, and that's the monument. We just went by it, beautiful architecture, beautiful ballrooms, connected to the community, a destination hotel, not just a hotel for out-of-town visitors, but a hotel for the community. That's where you wanted to get married. That's where you wanted to go to your prom. That's where you wanted to go on a first date. That's what Hotel Niagara was. This is a beautiful place representing the beauty and the grandeur and the strength of Niagara Falls. And then it fell into disrepair. And it sat. And now it's coming back to life. And it's coming back to life in a modern version, but with all the beauty of that history and with all the grandeur of that history. And why is it coming back to life now? Why is it a phoenix rising from the ashes? Because Niagara Falls is a phoenix rising from the ashes. Because the economy is coming back. And because now the economy is such that you can invest that money and you can get a return. $42 million to bring that hotel back. $42 million. Another investment in Niagara Falls and the future of Niagara Falls. And it's a beautiful symbol for me because all the stories, all the Tim Russert stories, all the stories of the old days, what we used to be, who we used to be, how great we used to be. We used to make steel. We were the honeymoon capital. All the stories about Hotel Niagara, many of which I won't repeat. Marilyn Monroe, John F. Kennedy, Joe DiMaggio, Hotel Niagara. Yeah, well, it's coming back. It's coming back. And the way your parents honeymooned at Hotel Niagara, now your children will honeymoon at Hotel Niagara. And the way Hotel Niagara is a monument to what was, this rebirth will be a monument to what will be. Because our obligation and our goal is very simple. Our goal is not to bring Niagara Falls back to what it was. Our goal is to make Niagara Falls better and stronger and more beautiful than it ever has been. And leave that gift Our goal as parents, as citizens, at the end of the day is very simple: to leave our children a place better than we found it. And we're not going to leave them a Niagara Falls that we inherited. We're going to leave them a Niagara Falls that is better than it's ever been before. And we are on the road to do that. Just keep going, and we will be with you every step of the way. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thanks a lot for putting me up here to speak after those two guys. Holy man, you know. You used all my talking points, Governor. You don't need talking points anymore because you know this city, you know this region in a way that I think no governor of New York State in my lifetime has known or understood us. And you've always been a champion for us. Our delegation, I think, has turned over since that time in 2012 when you gave your State of the State speech where you announced the Buffalo Billion. But I was there with Byron Brown and the current crop then of our state representatives. And because the State of the State is so popular, the governor had moved it out of the assembly chambers into a conference center room where he could fit 2,000 people. And every seat was filled. There were 2,000 people there to hear what the governor's plan was for the future of New York State. And when he made his announcement about the Buffalo Billion, out of those 2,000 people, roughly 20 of us stood up and started jumping up and down and cheering madly. And it was at that moment that I think we all recognize the political courage that you have exhibited in making the economic rejuvenation of Western New York a cornerstone of your administration, right? It's something that is not politically expedient, but it's something that is very much morally right. And thank you very much, Governor Andrew Cuomo, for your commitment to us here. You know, the governor, one of the talking points that he used, I was going to talk a little bit about how right after the announcement of the Buffalo Billion, you went to bat for us. Then you came and you did the tour around here, and you were shaking your finger a little bit, and you were saying, I don't want to hear any more talk about this past golden age of Western New York, all right? Yeah, there were some good times in the past, but the past is not coming back, right? We need to start thinking about the future, and boy, have we planned for and now begun to implement a new future for Western New York. But it's great to see that the implementation of that bright, shiny future learns a lesson from some of the things that were done a generation or two ago in the period of urban renewal. When urban renewal came to downtown Niagara Falls, everyone was all excited, right? There was federal money that was available. A lot of it was used to do demolitions of what we would now regard as great historic assets, buildings that we can never recreate again, that we wish we had today, to use historic preservation tax credits and all the programs we have to rejuvenate. But instead, we tore down pretty much every single building in 13 square blocks of our downtown area. And when we did that, we ripped the heart not just out of the infrastructure of the city, we kind of took a part of our heart and soul and pulled it out too, right? We kind of started to forget who it was that we were, or why we were here, or why our city was here. And the fact that, as you said, we then built an expressway to wall ourselves off from our waterfront at about the same time, it didn't help, right? But boy, have we learned some lessons from the past. As we build new for the future, as Howard said, we're capitalizing on our greatest assets. We're making them the centerpiece of development. But we're also remembering that we have a history, and we're remembering to honor that history, which is why I think it is so important that as we move forward to build new here in downtown Niagara Falls, we're also working to restore great historic assets like the Hotel Niagara. As you alluded to, Governor, I'm sure there are many, many great stories of wonderful times here at the Hotel Niagara that people would like not to have told. I don't know how many people honeymooned in the Hotel Niagara, but there were an awful lot of them, right? And now this can be part of the rejuvenation of downtown Niagara Falls. From the front door of Hotel Niagara to the Niagara River, it's one block, right? Down the hill, down to the end of the street. and there's the rapids above Niagara Falls. The governor recognizes the potential here in Niagara Falls. He's helping us to tap into our key assets and drive economic growth. He's been investing in the park. He's been restoring downtown hotels like Hotel Niagara and building new ones. He's really stepped up for us here in Niagara Falls. So today, we're reimagining the future of this city. The downtown is coming back to life. Visitors are coming here to see all that we have to offer. Jobs are on the rise, and we're working with our great Commissioner of Labor, Roberta Reardon, to make sure that our people are ready for those jobs with the right skills as those jobs come online. So I want to thank the governor and his great team for their support. I want to congratulate Ed Riley for being selected for this landmark renovation, and I look forward to continuing to work with all of them to continue the fantastic transformation of Niagara Falls. Thank you again, Governor. God bless, and thank you all for joining us here today.
I want to just, in closing, thank the mayor, thank all of you for coming, thank the governor, and one last shout out, because for all of the work that the governor has done and all the leadership, the acid test of success is the private sector investment, and that's represented by Ed Riley. So we want to thank Ed as well. And that concludes the program. Thank you so very much.